Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to our second episode of our podcast or learning development series by Invictus Toastmasters. And today, let's see who is actually taking your decisions. But before that, it would be good if you can switch on the cameras or if you can raise your hands when the question is being asked. I just want to know how many of you have ever felt of shoplifting or did shoplifting or had the idea of shoplifting. You can be honest.
As a child, it was always tempting to see, things around, and you were tempted to do it, but that's something that was always in the back of the mind. What if I just pick it up?
Okay. Now, let me make it more easy because I can understand a lot of people are having apprehension. How many of you have stolen the best food item from the fridge when your mother was sleeping?
If it was my mother, then yes, definitely.
What about you, Anmol?
Not really. My mother has always wanted me to actually kind of do that stuff. But if you look at my physique, you'll really understand that I'm not really a food type of person.
Anything that you have done that now you feel is a little bit immoral, but when it happened, when we were young, we just felt it so amazing, especially when we used to hear things like, if you steal, it would be more tasty. Like if you steal food, it would be more sweeter in taste, or whatever you steal, it is more better. And the question is, where does this idea comes from? Basically, we human beings have the animalistic or the primal instinct. Now, let me pose a question to all of you, and I hope all of you will answer it to the honest, like you have to be very honest with yourself. Imagine you being a parent and you hear a phone call where there is a shooting in your child's school. So this is where you are like, what to do? And you just run to the school and you find your daughter or your son being safe in one of the classrooms. And you see a lot of terrorists are coming. And now you see the terrorists are running towards the classroom where there are 25 children. And you are like, oh my God, what to do next? And you just look around, look behind, and you see there is another terrorist, one terrorist coming towards your child's classroom. Whom will you save? The 25 children or your child? This is a question for all of you. You can answer one by one. So let's start with Bhavani. As a mother, what would you do? Will you save your child or will you save the 25 children?
If there was any way of saving all of them, I would have tried that. But
no, there is
obviously,
nothing like that.
Will come first. My child will come first.
Okay. What about the three guys? Think you are the father. I understand because you still are unmarried. You can think about your parents. One of your parents is in an office and the 25 other colleagues are in another room. What would you do? Yuvraj, what would you do? Save your mother or save the 25 employees at your mother's office?
What I feel is that first we will save the 25 employees of the office, then we will make a team, and as a unity strength, then we can save my mother.
Well, that is not possible because both sides, the terrorists are coming and they will never negotiate.
Both sides. Then I will save my mother first.
Okay. What about Venner and Anmol?
Yeah.
It will be my
same.
mother, yes. Yeah.
Same.
Okay. And the same situation comes when there is a trolley problem. when there was a professor and he told a student one of the same examples, but it is a little bit different, where there is one person in a railway track and 5 person in another railway track. The person said, definitely I'll save 5 people over one. And then the professor asked, what if that person who is like the one person is your child, what would you do? And everyone was like, definitely I'll save my blood first. Where does this thought comes from? Is it only your blood, or is it something else? What do you think? And do you think you will not be guilty if you save your child? Because when you see your child, you will think about those 25 other children that died because of saving your child. What would you think after that? And the same goes to the guys here. What about when you see your parents? Won't you feel like the 25 people who died because of saving this person? Now, this is a moral dilemma, right? And there are no ethical codes or ethics to prove what is right and what is wrong, because we have primal instinct towards saving our own blood because they are our direct lineage. Therefore our DNA is like, hey, this person is yours, you have to save your line first. It forgets that we all come from the same tree. Therefore 2000 years ago, let me take you there. What happens is Socrates and Plato, they were talking. Now everyone knows who Socrates and Plato are, right? Now they were talking, and then there is this thing called Plato's allegory of cave. Now allegory means a short story which has a lot of symbolism. And now I will pose another question, but you have to listen to this story first. It's a very interesting story. There was a cave, and there were 25 men who were prisoners. 2 people used to come to that cave and used to light a fire, and they used to show a puppet of animals, right? So the prisoners were like, wow, animals. And they also used to make sounds of the animals. The prisoners used to like it, like, wow, it's something entertaining for them, because all the reality what they used to see is just in the wall, where 2 people who used to make fun of these prisoners used to light a fire in a corner, and used to make sounds of animals, and used to show various, like, they used to make various hand gesture to show like these are animals. One of the prisoner was very curious to know, what is this? What if I can touch that animal? Therefore he just went outside, and one of the person, he took him outside. And the prisoner was like, because they were in so much of darkness, they were squinting their eyes, and they were like, that one person used to think, what is this happening? And when he saw the reality, the real nature, there was a rivulet, there was a tree, there were real animals, he was like, wow, this reality is far better than the reality that I was being in the cave. He ran inside the cave and said to the 24 other prisoners, like, come outside, it's very beautiful there. The other prisoners were like, if you say this again, we're gonna thrash you and kill you. And this comes to my another question. Do you think it's relatable, the reality inside our head and the reality outside? Sometimes when you text a person and you do not get reply for 24 hours or 48 hours, what is the first thing that you think? As a parent, if it is your child, what would you think first, Bhavani?
Is he all right? I mean,
the reality that you would be creating inside your head is not just it is all right. There would be fear, there would be delusion, there would be sadness, there will also be anger. How dare he is my child. What about Venhav? If you text a friend and you do not hear for 48 hours, even though the friend has a different reality, they are in a different circumstance, what would you think? What would be your reality in your head?
Yeah, it's the same. I would just think of all the improbable situations that he or she could fall into. Yeah, that happens. Yes.
What about Yuvraj? If your parents leave you for 2 days, they say that they are leaving you for 2 days and going to a native, and you do not hear them back for 3 days because on the way they had a punctured tire, their phone got discharged. What would be your reality in your mind?
It is a fear of what happened, tension, overthinking, stress. Why not being the call, not reverting back, not able to sleep, disturbed mind, mentally disturbed.
What about you, Anmol? Would you able to sleep?
No, not at all. It's exact same.
In this
Yeah.
situation, what should we do? How should we come out from the reality that we have created in our head to outside? Think. This is a question that you have to introspect. What would you do? Imagine everyone's loved ones come to their home. The second time this happens, how the reality will shift. You have to immerse yourself in the situation. First time it happened, you were panicking. It was fearful reaction. There were a lot of things happening. When it happens for the second time, something in your mind says, okay, they will come. Definitely the fear mind will always be there because we are human beings. Survival instinct will always be a push for us. But the second situation will also come slowly. And that is where I will go to my third slide. I have named this slide a civil war of silence. Now, keep all these scenarios in your head, because later I would definitely ask another questions and that would help. And I'll also give homework where you can have 5 questions and you can think. You have to think every single day and see a pattern emerging. And because I would be sharing you the steps on how to come out of all the situation. And it really helps because these are scientifically proven. Now, everyone knows Sigmund Freud, right? Okay, Sigmund Freud is father of psychoanalysis. Psycho means psychic, and analysis is when you analyze the psyche, your psyche, what is happening inside your brain. Because we humans are extremely complex, but you also see everyone has answered equally. It was same every single time. But if Bhavani was thinking intrusive thoughts for his kids, the rest 3 were thinking something else. The scenarios will be different, but the bigger thing would be same. It's fear that comes first. But the next time, the fear comes 60% and the other things come. And that is why when you go through one situation again and again, you just do not be careless, but it is like, okay, it happened before and now you're used to it. For example, if you are in a place where this situation comes up where the prisoners were there, the first prisoner who went outside will again go outside, but next time when he comes back, he'll never share it. And that's how people change. Now, Sigmund Freud, who is a father of psychoanalysis, and every psychology students have to read him because he really created masterpiece with a lot of things. He had a lot of issues in his childhood, especially his stepbrother was quite elder to him, and his cousin brother was more elder to him. Therefore, he had this issues with his family members, and he also had issues with his mother. Therefore, he came with a concept called Oedipus complex. We are not jumping there. We are just going when he was sitting quiet and observing his own thoughts. Sometimes what happens, we act rationally without thinking, but when we observe our thoughts, you are the observer of yourself. Your consciousness is observing you. And that happens when he produces concept id, ego, and superego. Have you seen children who will sit in the mall and shout, "I want this toy"? Have you been one of them? Why? There has to be a reason why you have not been one of them. When you see yeah, Bhavani.
Because I knew my parents couldn't afford it, so I wouldn't shout for it.
Therefore, you were not participating in the id. What about the rest three? Have you been this kind of child where you used to cry to your parents that I want this, and used to blackmail them? Have you ever been like that?
No, the first reason is we've been kept told from the very beginning that it's better to not want something. I mean, there is a limit that you have to want something. Wanting more is like a sin, or like, even though if it is affordable or whatever may it be, wanting more is made into my brain that it is a sin. So maybe that was the reason I didn't become one.
What about Yuvraj and Anmol? It could be anything. For example, you go to a competition and you're like, I won this trophy. Yes, Yuvraj.
Yes, it's like a sign of desperation, wanting.
Okay. That means you're aware of your feelings.
Yes.
What about you, Anmol? Have you been like, I want this, I want it now, or I don't care about the rules, I just want it?
Yeah, a lot of times actually. Like when it was my exams, and mostly it's been my exams in competitions and all. But yeah, there is a side says that okay, this time I just want no holding back. Not always, but yeah, there are some times, I would say.
Given a different situation, we all have participated in the it, where we just wanted to save our near ones. Like Bhavani wanted to save only his kid, and you all wanted to save only your parents. Therefore, this is the it, where you want, where the word want comes, or the instant gratification comes. It's the it, the primal instinct that's talking. Therefore, as human beings, we all are normal. We all have instant gratification, and we all want to save ourselves or our parts first. And now let's go to the ego side. What if you lose something that you knew you are best at it? What is the dialogue that comes inside your mind? Let's start with Yuvraj this time.
Ego hurt to judge. Ego is hurt that I deserve it. How it happened. What about the reputation?
Okay, fine. No, the reputation part also comes to the super ego side. So the first thing that comes is
how it's possible.
How it is possible. Okay, what about Anmol?
I would say that when it comes to ego, things get a bit different. When it comes to me, I'm sorry, I'm just traveling, so you could hear the background noise. But yeah, what I was saying is, ego is really something, at least for me, it is not really about having like a specific outcome or something, unless it is directed by any external agent. By, let's say, if we are participating in like any table topics contest, right? If there is this one person who comes up that, okay, Anmol, you can never defeat me. Then there is this side that comes up that, okay, I'm gonna have this ego, like I have to defeat this person. But it is ultimately, at least for me, it is like like a challenge for the opposing entity. That
That's a
okay,
very good thing because people think ego is arrogance, but I would always suggest everyone to keep a little bit of ego in your pocket because ego is the mediator of your id and superego. So let me share what superego is so that we all can understand what ego is, because ego has got a negative connotation where people think, okay, the person has a lot of ego and attitude. Both of the words do not go hand in hand because ego is not arrogance. Ego is how you perceive yourself. Here, Yuvraj was absolutely right when he said, how was it possible? He never compared with others. He never said, how did this person was the winner? It should be me and only me. That is negative, and that is not ego. That is greed. That is a lot of other things, but not ego. But ego is definitely when you think about yourself as a person and you have kept yourself at a pedestal, and now you are here, but people are perceiving you here. That is when you are like, you have to mediate, you have to be the negotiator of your id, where you want to defeat or you want to take revenge. And let's see what super ego is so that we understand more about ego and super ego. Super ego is a principle. How many of you have crossed a red light because of an emergency, or said to the cab driver, I have this emergency, please go ahead? Okay, yes, most of them. The principle says you should not do this because there is a social problem. Like if you cross the red light, what if there is another car ahead of you and you crash the car? Therefore, because of that, we have ethical laws. If the light is red, you do not cross. If the light is green, you cross. And if the light is yellow, you wait. Similarly, in our lives, when you are in a situation where you want to take revenge, for example, if someone has done something very bad to you, you want to show them that how superior you are, but at the back of your mind you are like, leave it, let karma play the role, because you also have seen what shall you sow, so shall you reap. And your super ego is the side when you behave morally correct, not because everyone is seeing, because your mind says it. I can also give you another example that you would relate quietly. If you have a sibling, or if you do not have a sibling, if you're a single child, because I know there are some single children here, uh, think about your cousins. You are the elder one, and your cousin or your siblings, they are almost a decade younger to you. You get one favorite chocolate from your favorite relative, and now your sibling comes to you. What would you do? Would you share, or you won't share? Back of your mind, it will also say, uh, he's a younger one, it is good to share because he will also love it. There is no social norm that you have to share, but it comes within you. Does that happen? Yeah, Shraddha said, yeah, she will share. We all will share. Even if any one of us is extremely selfish, still we will share, because that is what our super ego will tell, because it thinks about our image outside the world. It also states what other faculties are there which are ethically correct. My morality can be right for me but wrong for others. But ethically, what is correct is objective for all of us. For example, wherever you go, green light means go. Now, am I making some sense when I am stating what superego is? Superego is just, you think about the society as well. Ethical laws are also involved. It is all about the instant gratification that comes. I want it, I want this, I want it now. And ego is the mediator between two of them. Now you have to use your critical thinking abilities on how to navigate a situation. For example, let me give a situation where it will make more sense. Imagine you are at a workplace, or if you do not do a job, imagine you are in a house or you're in a relative's place who are extremely, extremely, extremely toxic. And now you want a beverage because you have a headache and you just want to ask them, I want coffee. Inside your head, it's already there that I want coffee now. But your superego is also telling, is it good to ask? Will it be nice? Will they feel bad if you ask because they didn't behave correctly with you? What would you do? Let's start with Venov. Will you still ask? Or what is the process that is happening in your mind? I want to know the conversation that's happening inside your mind.
The first is how do they see me? The first thought that I have. And the second thought is if, since you mentioned home, so I wouldn't take home. If I go to a place where I deserve a particular treatment, if I think in such way, then I would definitely demand the same, not in a rude way, but I would demand it the way I want. But if I go to a place where I am quite distant, or I feel I don't belong there, then I would definitely not ask.
Okay, what about Bhavani? What would you do?
I would say if I'm comfortable with that family, then I would go and ask. If I feel that, they may not react in a good way, then I would, back off and I wouldn't ask.
When you say you will not ask because you're not feeling comfortable, what does comfort means to you? What is comfortable? What is the first thought that comes to your mind?
Um, how they are going to perceive me. I mean, when I ask them,
Yes, that is superego. What they are going to perceive. Yes, Yuvraj, you were raising hands.
Yes, comfortable in my opinion means that how you are able to open with that person. Are you comfortable
I
enough?
said they are extremely toxic.
Extremely toxic, then it's very difficult to approach them because they will perceive in a negative way because they have the toxicity in your mind, and in my mind that it's better not to approach them.
But why have you thought they will perceive in a negative way? Why are we thinking about what others are perceiving? How does this thought comes? Like, dissect your thought and answer. Why did you think that they would be perceiving instead of thinking about yourself? Why did you think they? You are on mute. Yuvraj, if you're speaking, you are on mute.
Because it's in our mind that they are toxic, they will treat us like way because we think like that. They are toxic, that the title is given, they are toxic, then it's in our mind that they will perceive as negative. Superior inferiority complex.
Okay. What about Anmol?
Well, I think if I am with someone who you are describing as someone who's very, very, very toxic, so my topmost item in the agenda would be to just get away from him or her as soon as possible. But yeah, I think I would also just not ask for something or anything from him at all, because it's all about having, sort of a connection. If you're not being in sync, if you're not, being comfortable enough with the other person, so I think you should just escape from them as soon as possible.
Okay, I heard all your answers. Keep all these thoughts in your mind. I'll come to this again. Now, we all know consciousness and unconsciousness. This is a concept that, like, this picture is what actually was perceived in Freud's mind. Therefore, I have just pasted this picture as it is. But let's go to what is it. It is the primal need. Like, I want it now. I just wanted the instant gratification that works, right? Like, when you were the parent or the son or daughters, you just wanted to save your family. The super ego is the moral highs. None of you thought the 25 people had souls, right? We were like, we'll save our kid first. Therefore, the moral ground was missing there. But at this situation, when I have asked you a question, when it was the question on the extremely toxic people, and you are there, you all had kept yourself in a moral ground. You know they are toxic. None of you said, I'm going to fight with the person or I'm going to get the tea. Therefore, the instant gratification, was gone from that equation. As adults, our instant gratification definitely declines. Not to our ambitions or something. If we are passionate about something, our it will definitely boost up until and unless there is a moral high ground that makes us humble or be grounded. And the answers that you all shared when I wanted to dissect the thoughts in your mind that came up is actually the ego that talked about. You wanted to negotiate inside your head. Okay, fine, I have headache, I wanted tea, but these people are not good. They will perceive me in a negative way. So your higher grounds and your instant gratification had a bridge called ego. And therefore, when people say that you have ego, be happy, because ego does not mean arrogance. It means that you can hold yourself high, morally high. Because when you have little bit of ego in your pocket and you walk, no one can break you, because you can negotiate with your own thoughts by being an observer. Fine, I want this, but I am not getting. I cannot say other people are bad. I'll say, why did I not get? I'll find the solution and then work on it. And now that goes to us being human beings, where if you have any kind of moral dilemma like this, at this moment, yes, the answer, the question was very easy when I asked if you are with a toxic person. A lot of times, our circumstances are such that we are not in control of where we are, of our surroundings. And there are times when people hurt us, we want to take revenge or we want to show them who we are. A lot of things comes, and it is very normal to have such thoughts, because the id is primarily instinct. It is our primal instinct. It is embedded in our DNA. The it part, the gratification, the instant gratification will always come. But how you deal with it is the question. Therefore, this is what is designed in psychology, how to develop critical thinking. First of all of you have actually answered it correctly, but you have to have the knowledge. For example, if the person is toxic, why they are toxic and what is happening here. I want tea, I want coffee. And there are certain times in your job place, in your workplace or your college, you have to work with people who can give you headaches, but you have to work with them. At those times, this guideline will actually help you when you will understand the situation. And then, do you want tea right now, or you want to do something else? You want something else, or you have some other questions or other criterias that you want? Then you can consider, if I really want tea at this moment, or can I wait for 10 minutes? or can I go somewhere else and have it? Then you re-evaluate. For example, if you're in a workplace and you have a very terrible boss, first of all, if you have done a mistake or there is a goof up, you'll first understand the situation, what happens. The knowledge of the situation helps always. Why? Because you can actually counter question them. Then you will understand the situation. Okay, I did a goof up and my boss is really terrible. I have to go to that person and tell. So the knowledge of the situation is very important. What was the goof up? Why it happened? And you have to be very understanding, not thinking what they will perceive, but you have to take your own stand, the ego in your pocket. Then you have to consider their options as well. For example, you wanted something you didn't get, you have to consider what all options are there for me. Then you re-evaluate it. Okay, if the option is correct for me or not, right? If your boss gives 3 options to you, none of them works for you, how you can negotiate with the help of your ego to all the options. For example, if your boss tells you not to take leaves for 3 days and you have a function at your house, your ego will help to negotiate with your boss, and then you apply it. A lot of times we are thinking, the person would be thinking like this, what should we do and how should we even share it? Just say it. Because take help of your ego and take a stand. Why? Because your instant gratification, your id and super ego will always have a tug of war. Your id will say this is correct, your super ego will be saying no, that this is ethically wrong. And that is the time when you have to take the help of your ego with the help of this critical thinking guideline. And when you apply it, you actually, when you negotiate it, apply it also means negotiate it, you actually create a different bonding with the person whom you do not like. Sometimes you have to be with people who are not good. And that is when you also have to understand why they are not good. You have to understand their situation, why they did what they did. Because human beings are not bad by nature. Because of some circumstances, they have done a lot of activities that are not good. You can take any examples, and if you see, everyone in their childhood are innocent. But something must have happened, and we have a free will, we have 2 choices, good and bad. A lot of people take the bad option because it's easy and they get away with it. But it could also be the reason their super ego is not working, as it is so high that their super ego is very low, and the negotiator is like, let it go with it only. And this is where we all have to have a balance. There are times when we have to take help of our it, because that instant gratification works when it comes to our ambition, our raise, our promotions, a lot of things, to competitions and everything. Because whenever there is a competition, wherever you all come to the stage, what happens? That fearful what others will perceive. And sometimes it is also like, I am here, I want to be here now. And the pressure is so much, the super ego would be saying, it's okay, no one is stating anything to you, no one is judging you. Even we know we all are judging slightly, but your super ego will help. But that is the ego that will make you stand and speak the truth out. And that is it for the day. But I do want to have a few questions, if you have any questions for me. No questions? Either we all have understood everything, or how our teacher used to say, nothing went here. What is it? And yes, I also have homework for you. Don't worry. No question?
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes, sure.
Since you had brought up an example that you'll have of a boss dealing with the middle ground, finding, getting leaves and also attending a function at the same time managing the work. So I just wanted to ask one question. So if I do think critically, if I make use of my ego and find the middle ground between the toxic boss and myself, but if the boss is not ready to think critical at all, and the boss only uses his id to think, when to decide, only uses his uh, why he wants it to be done, and he wants it to be done. So only these two are the things that he has in his mind. So how do I make others to think critically, or how do I make others to fall in the middle ground that I would want to have? Because my ego doesn't only depend on me, it also depends on the people who are involved in the situation, or involved in how involved in the same situation that I am in. So if it is possible, you can.
It's the ego it is not the ego that's working for you, it is the super ego that's working for you. You have to find a middle ground. How? Now, are you in control of the situation is the question that comes up first. Yes or no? If you are in control of the situation, the circumstance is different, the solution is different. But if you are not in control of your situation or any other situation, then the answer would be different. So I'll just go with both of them. Sometimes what happens, if you are the manager and you have 3 people under you, you also have a super manager whom you have to report, and that super manager is very toxic. You have 3 people under you, and you have to protect them, right? So your super ego is protecting them, but your id also says, do not leave your job, do not do anything where you will be laid off, right? Now the negotiation would be very different from how you talk to your super boss and to your employees, right? To your employees, you can just state the fact, the truth as it is. Like, I have to report to this person. This person reacts in a different manner. The mannerism could not align with us. You have to have a very diplomatic questions and answers with your employees. To your boss, you again have to be very diplomatic, because and if your boss do not listen at all, and you are in a situation, you're not in that control where whatever you will say he will reject it, that is the time you have to have this super ego with you, so that you can sleep peacefully. Or else you will get a lot of diseases, because you will have a tug of war inside your mind, because you want to show your boss who you are, and in the second mind it's like, leave it, God will see, right? So there is a tug of war, and that moment, even if you take your own stand, you'll not never be in peace. If you, like as Anmol said, either you leave the place, or if you cannot leave the place, you have to negotiate. How you can negotiate? You have to have a relatable conversation with your boss, know how he is. There is a concept called mirroring. When you start mirroring, the person will feel very relatable to you, even if it is toxic. And trust me, it always helps. And it not only it has been proven, check it by yourself, because it always works. At the end of the day, we are human beings. We have an emotional mind, a rational mind, and a wise mind. So this emotional mind actually is a trap for a lot of people. If you're mirroring, and if your boss is not listening, then definitely you should step out of that from that job. If you have to negotiate, you have to be extremely diplomatic. First, you have to set the boundary straight, like, these are my boundaries, and if anyone crosses my boundary, the consequences are these. And it depends if your boss is emotional or not. If he's emotional, then when you say the boundaries and all these words, he'll understand. If he's very rational, then you have to take the other route. The other route is mirroring. Is it clear? Or
Very clear. Thank you. So ultimately, it's like the pragmatic solution would be finding which version the id or the ego or
yes,
the superego would fit in the best.
yes, every time it has to be a different, because the balancing thing you can do when you're alone. But if you are with people and who are not like you, sometimes mirroring works a lot, because when you say something, people know that the person, whenever they are speaking, there is an aura or vibe. That's what people call these days. If you are in the vibe check, either you will be their enemy or you will be the best friends. If you have to work with your enemies, you have to be exactly like them. And how? Definitely mirroring. Any other questions? It seems everyone is thinking a lot. Actually, this is the homework. You can take a screenshot. Or else I would also share it with you. No questions, anyone? First of all, I would also want to ask if everyone understood what I said. I cannot see, so either you can thumbs up, okay. But yes, thank you. And but yes, whenever there is anything that comes in your mind, just think how you're reacting and why you are reacting. Whether it is your instant gratification, if this is your instant gratification, what are the consequences? Is it a good consequences? So this is how you have to, like, it is like you have to dissect your own thoughts. When you dissect your own thoughts, you are observing the observer, and that is when you'll always find the solution. The moment you observe yourself as an observer, not if I am Bhavani, I will observe myself. When I am myself, I'm not Bhavani, but I'm observing Bhavani. Like, for example, if I have to observe Sangeeta, I'll just take my thought out and I'll observe myself. Right? When you do this, you are in an unattached position. When you are in an unattached position, the decisions that you will make will never be wrong for you. And the best thing I have seen is in our club, every single person, whether they know it or not, they actually do it subconsciously. And that is why all the answers, whenever I portrayed any questions, the answers that I got was very morally correct. Even though everyone had this instant gratification, we always chose the moral path. But yes, keep that little bit ego in your pocket. That will always guide you. And with this, let's stop the record.